YouTube, let's love Teeline together. Passage number 15 at 60 words per minute, entitled Campaign to Raise Money to Clean Town's War Memorial. At 60 words per minute, you will have 26 minutes to transcribe the 240 words dictated. There will, of course, be an interval of 30 seconds after the first 2 minutes, so after the first 120 words. Please look at the words and the groupings that are going to appear in the passage before you take the dictation if you are still unsure of the theory and the use of word groupings. If you feel confident about this, you may like to take the dictation without looking through these. Skip to that part of the video, but please check your outlines afterwards to see if you could have made any improvements. Alphabetical order for ease of reference afterwards. We start with the word already, where the L is doubled for the R, and then the D and the I is added at the end. Appealing, we must remember that because there's a vowel between the P and the L, we write both the P and the L. The L is written upwards after a P, and the I is disjoined for ing, written downwards, of course. Next word, around, so AR blend, so Arthur likes nuts. So to make the AR sound, we put the N inside, and then the D, so that we don't have to write an R. The word brought is BR blend, so therefore the T is written inside the B to make the BR. Campaign, make sure that CM blend is wide. G, of course, is silent in campaign. Contributed, so the long T for TR, and then finally the T and the D disjoined, the D written underneath the T. Difference is a special outline. Estimated, the S must go outside the angle to keep the straight strokes straight, and again the T and the D separated, the D being lower than the T. The word half, special outline, just HF. Heritage, the T cannot be joined to the R. Remember, T's and D's can't be joined to an upward R, so the T goes over the top like an umbrella, and then we add the G to it. History, the S going outside the angle to keep the straight strokes straight when we're writing at high speed. Make sure that T looks doubled. Important is a special outline. Included, we know by now that words that begin with INC, INS, INT, IND don't have to have the N. So it's just ICLDD. Landscaping, slightly awkward to write. The S, of course, going at the top of the D, and then the C, P, and again the disjoined I for ing. Launched, well, words that have NCH, such as launch, bunch, punch, etc., we don't write the N. So we write the L, disjoin the CH gives launch, and then add the D on to make that launched. Memorial, paying attention there to the size of the strokes, the single length M, and then the double length M, because that second M is doubled for the R, and the L goes upwards after an M. Monument, I've included the U, MNU, and meant, disjoined M on the T line for meant, but you don't have to put the U in, you can just put MN and meant if you prefer. Planting, PL blend, so P goes through the line to show that P and L come together without an intervening vowel. Project is a special outline, and other words that go with that are object, subject, reject, where we just write the J for ject. Several is a special outline, just SV, just like you would write the word save. Small, again the S inside the curve, but the L goes upwards after an M. Soldier, the D doubled for R, and war, again the W doubled for R. So those are the words to practice if you wish to do them before the dictation or check them afterwards. Now the word groupings, so we start again in alphabetical order, and we're using that very common one a lot of. 3 words there, and it hangs just below the line. So remember, if you were to use that grouping and miss it because you've not looked underneath the line, you would actually lose 3 marks because the sentence could make equally good sense with or without it. It's a very useful phrase, but please pay attention if you do decide to use it. As much, so putting the S inside the M, at the end of last year. So there's so many combinations of that, isn't there? At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, at the end of last year, at the end of this year. So many combinations. Just using the Y for year, of course. At the present time, I love this phrase. So at the would normally be written with the H for the on the line. But if we drop it through the line, that the can also represent the P of present. So then the SNT, keep the I indicator in, and M, then you don't have to lift the pen to disjoin M for time, at the present time. 2 CN blends close together for county council. Do not have, as you know, I always include the O in the negative word, no or not. But again, you don't have to. During the, I've just added the ing, for the disjoined I for ing, but carried on, bringing it straight down to include the during the. In the centre, putting a C through the centre of something makes the word centre, so in the centre. Last week, now here you could have missed out the K. Money as possible. Now, the phrase, of course, if I'd put them in order in which they appear, it becomes as much and then money as possible. So keeping that I indicator in for money and then putting the S, P, S for as possible. More than, we've had that many times, doubling the M for R in more and just raising an N for than. We can use that for more than, better than, higher than, etc. Part of our, again, disjoining that T after an upward R, and then little O for of and a long W to add the R for our. Still have a. Now there you've got 3 very simple, very short words, but there's no reason for you to write them all separately. That takes time. So joining them all together is really beneficial. And underneath that, I've got 2 more examples of 2 very short, simple words that can be joined together. Such a and is an. Don't put them separately, write them together if you can. In is an, of course, that S goes outside the angle. That people, intersecting that PL for people. Another beautiful phrase which is so time-saving, this is the first time. So we're writing TH and instead of joining the S on for this, we've disjoined it and that becomes this is. And then we add the H for the, this is the, and then a 1 for first and an M underneath for time. This is the first time. If it was this is the second time, you just change the 1 to a 2 and so on. Lovely phrase. Next one, this work, making sure the W is doubled for the R in work. To be, there's no need to write the 2 and then the full B. You can just put the big circle for B on top of 2. Make sure it is big though, otherwise it will look like TS. Very long way, for very long way, we've kicked the L out of it. We have such a simple, such a common phrase, but the number of students who write those 2 words separately and use the long way of writing have. Please, please learn that one, get into the habit because it comes in virtually every single passage. Now you can extend it underneath to we have received. So all we're writing is we have received. And we're using the phonetic emphasis. So we're writing SVD. So it's the same outline as would be written for we have saved, but the sense of the sentence will tell you it is we have received, as is has been received for has been received. And then you can, where you come straight down with the U indicator and join on the CN blend for can. And then before we can. So before, W for we, put the E indicator in to help you to join the CN blend to it. Far, far better than writing 3 separate outlines. Drill it first if you need to, but you will meet it again. So please embrace it, use it, and increase your speed. Ready for part 1? Ready? We have started a campaign to raise money to clean the war memorial in the centre of our town. The monument, which stands in Market Square, was built in 1922, and this is the first time anyone has made a decision to have it cleaned. We have received several quotes, and the cost is estimated to be around £10,000. Some of the money has been received from the County Council, but we still need to raise at least half of the cost before we can give the go-ahead to this project. The campaign, launched last week, has already brought in more than £300, but we still have a very long way to go. Second half, ready? At the end of last year, Market Square received a makeover, which included new paving, tree planting, and landscaping. This work contributed to the poor state of the monument. The life-sized soldier, who is standing at the foot of the memorial, had his rifle damaged during the makeover of the square. It is sad to see it in such a poor state, as the monument is an important part of our history and heritage. I am appealing to you all to do everything you can to raise as much money as possible. We know that people do not have a lot of money to spare at the present time, but every donation, no matter how small will make a difference.